Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Wednesday, September 20th. This will be the last show about Jaguars and Chiefs. Jaguars fell in their home opener to the Kansas City Chiefs by a final score of 17-9. But right now, we are going to talk about some of the positives. We've talked about some of the negatives that we saw in the game. Obviously, the pass blocking up front, not good enough, especially against Chris Jones. You saw some drops by wide receivers. You saw a lack of execution and timing and rhythm by the Jaguars offense overall. But defensively, it was a great performance by the Jaguars. And on the special teams front, overall, a pretty damn good performance as well by most of their specialists. We're going to dive into the standouts here. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop and pick up some new Duval gear. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. So looking at it, few standouts on offense. Actually, I should say two standouts on offense for me, positive standouts. I thought Walker Little, he had a fantastic game. He's been balling at left tackle for the Jaguars. Only one pressure allowed in 2 games at left tackle. That's really, really impressive. He's been really good in the run game too. 88 pass pro reps for Walker Little over the first 2 weeks and 1 pressure allowed. Kudos to him. Obviously, when Cam Robinson gets back from his suspension and he is now in the building with the team but can't participate until after week 4, how's that going to play out? He's been the Jaguars starting left tackle for a long time, but Walker Little playing at an extremely high level. How do you get your best 5 on the field? We'll find out soon. But as of right now, Walker Little is the starting left tackle, and he's playing at a really high level. I also thought Evan Ingram had a very good game for the Jaguars overall. He was targeted 7 times, caught 5 passes, no drops for him, 4 first downs for Evan Ingram. I thought he just, when his number was called, he did a really good job moving the chains and helping this Jaguars offense kind of stay on schedule despite some of the other issues that they had offensively. And you look at Christian Kirk, obviously he had huge numbers in this game. The reason he's not a standout for me, 2 big drops. You just got to be able to not make those mistakes against the Kansas City Chiefs when you're trying to win a tight football game. And I just thought that overall, couple too many mistakes for Christian Kirk, and obviously Calvin Ridley dropped the ball twice as well. Not here to harp on the negatives, but getting to the defensive side of the ball, looking at the Jaguars' defensive standouts, in my opinion, there's a bunch of them that played really well. Andre Sisco, I mean, what a game for him in coverage. He almost had 2 interceptions. He did have 1. Called the Andre Sisco interception this week. So glad to see him be able to come down with that. That was a throw Patrick Mahomes just threw it up deep down the field. Should not have thrown it into double coverage. Andre Sisco races down the field, goes up and gets the football. He was targeted 3 times in coverage, got his hands on it twice. Overall, Andre Sisco, just a very, very good game in coverage. He's looking like a true ball hawk back there, playing an extremely high level in coverage for the Jaguars, and a guy that is getting his hands on the football so far through 2 weeks. I thought Rayshawn Jenkins too. I mean, maybe he was listening to this show last week, me saying that he's a little up and down at times. And even in this game, you saw some mistakes from Rayshawn Jenkins, but he did really well. He did his best covering Travis Kelce and the rest of these Chiefs guys that he was lined up against. I thought that the Jaguars defense as a whole frustrated the hell out of Travis Kelce in this one. He was their featured target, and they were just breaking up passes, tight coverage, all that good stuff. And Rayshawn Jenkins, he had 2 pass breakups against Travis Kelce. You also saw Trey Herndon broke one up against him. So did Devin Lloyd at the goal line. That was a big play. We'll talk about that. Darius Williams, he was very solid overall. He allowed some catches, but they were playing some off coverage. He had the peanut punch that led to the Foye Oluokun fumble recovery. Darius Williams was physical, was coming downhill when guys were catching it shallow against him, was coming downhill and making the play more often than not. So really good game for Darius Williams. He's such an underrated cornerback opposite Tyson Campbell. Tyson Campbell gets more coverage, more interest and more praise, but Darius Williams plays really well on the opposite side of him. Also got to give it up. I mentioned Foye recovered that fumble. He led the team in tackles. No surprise there. Stops as well. PFF's stat for a tackle that constitutes a win for the offense. He was really solid in coverage as well. Foye Oluokun, I think that week in and week out, you just look at what this guy does, and you can't deny that he is one of the best middle linebackers in the game right now from a leadership standpoint, from an on-field standpoint, against the run, in coverage. I think Foye is playing at an extremely high level. Trey Herndon, I think maybe he listened to everyone all offseason as well, kind of saying that he was the weak link on the defense. He's played lights out both weeks for the Jaguars so far. He had a peanut punch moment as well, was able to punch the ball out. The Jaguars didn't recover that one, but a really nice play for Trey Herndon. He was able to make a big play against Travis Kelce in coverage as well. The very next play, I believe it was, for Trey Herndon after the forced fumble. So good stuff for Trey Herndon so far. Is he perfect? No. Is he the best athlete on the planet at nickel? No. But is he getting the job done for the Jaguars so far? Yeah, absolutely he is. Devin Lloyd, I thought overall maybe not truly a standout performance because they did get him a couple times in coverage. I thought maybe there was one run play where he could have potentially gotten into a gap and slowed it down as well. But overall, I think he played really well. Racked up a bunch of tackles, played very physical. When those ball carriers and pass catchers were hit by Devin Lloyd, I know they felt it. And I thought the Jaguars defense as a whole did a really good job hitting and tackling and making sure that their presence was felt. It was a physical game on that side of the ball. But that PBU on the goal line and single coverage against Travis Kelce late in the game, I thought was a huge play by Devin Lloyd. He had another pass breakup as well. For me, I think Devin Lloyd is definitely moving in the right direction. The Chiefs' offense, put so much stress on linebackers, especially linebackers that they've seen on tape in the past that they can take advantage of. I didn't think that Devin Lloyd really got taken advantage of a ton. Yes, he did get taken advantage of, I think, 2 or 3 times in pass coverage, but overall, very good game for Devin Lloyd. I think he's definitely moving in the right direction. Thought he had a good game in week 1 as well. Looking at special teams, these guys deserve some love. Brandon McManus, another perfect day for him, really. 3 of 3 on field goals, 2 of 3 on touchbacks. He's made every kick he's taken early in this season so far for the Jaguars, and he's been really strong on kickoffs. I think he's like 7 of 9 getting touchbacks on kickoffs so far for the Jaguars. So that's why you bring him in. That's why you brought him in this offseason when the Broncos decided to move on. I think that he definitely has more talent as a kicker than anybody you've seen here since Josh Lambo was, in his prime before he got injured. So, and even Josh Lambo didn't have quite the leg power that Brandon McManus brings to the field. So good stuff for him so far. Ross Matisic, he deserves all the love. The Jaguars long snapper. He's such a good snapper, very reliable, and his punt coverage ability is awesome. His tackling is awesome. He goes down there and makes plays in punt coverage. So good stuff for Ross Matisic. They're obviously very happy to have him around. And Logan Cook, he was booming it as well. 4 inside the 20, very strong game for him, one of the best punters in the league. I think you look at the Jaguars special teams, I think you look at their defense, and they really helped the Jags keep this game close. And usually you look at a Jaguars football game, you say, well, if the defense plays well and the special teams plays well, they're going to win the game. But this week, it was the other phase of the game, the offense, that just was not quite there. Again, dropped passes, poor offensive line play. A lot of that was just Chris Jones being a one-man wrecking crew, but there was other issues there as well. And then just a lack of rhythm and execution overall. I think that it was kind of a one-off type of game. I don't expect this to be the norm for the Jaguars offense at all moving forward, but it's early in the season. A lot of times defenses are ahead of offenses at this point in the year. But I think the Jaguars offense will get it figured out. I don't think it's just a Press Taylor issue. I don't think it's just an offensive line issue. I think there was a lack of cohesion. I think that the offense started pressing after they were unable to convert on some of their early chances. And it ended up being an ugly performance overall by the Jaguars offense. But they were an inch away here or there from being the victors in this game, in my opinion. So I don't think it's anything to stress out about too much. Obviously, you want to be 2-0. But look, most of the league is 1-1 or 0-2 right now. There's only 2 teams in the AFC that are 2-0. The Jaguars are still on top of their division at 1-1, and they have another division matchup coming up against the Houston Texans in Jacksonville this week. The Jaguars haven't beaten the Texans at home. One of those games was in London, but the Jaguars haven't beaten the Texans at home in 5 straight tries. This is a week where they need to get a big win in the division, and it's a week where they should get a big win in the division. They're heavily favored. They're at home in Jacksonville, coming off a disappointing loss to the Chiefs. The Jaguars need to rebound in a big way, and I believe they they will. We'll get into that matchup here the rest of the week, but really appreciate y'all tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. You can follow Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. You can also like, subscribe, hit that notification bell on YouTube. And if you want to support the channel further, check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear. Y'all have a good one.